So what made you leave Sarasota? Let's start there.
Yeah, I got recruited to come to work up here for MetLife as their senior digital marketing manager. And then
Nice.
after a year and a half and a couple of internal awards, I got laid off like everybody else
Whoa.
reworked.
No.
So I
Sorry to hear
am
that.
making lemonade out of lemons, and I am starting what I should have done a long time ago, my own fine arts business, which has been my side hustle for a very long time.
Okay.
And so now I'm pushing forward to do that full time. And I made that decision like June of this year. And we just launched the new site a couple of weeks ago. So I'm off and running. I have a lot of great potentials going on with possible collaborations. So I'm really excited.
Wow, that's really cool. Okay,
Hmm.
turn of events. So MetLife, are they like insurance?
Yeah. Hmm.
Okay, so you were leading their digital marketing, laid off, as many unfortunately did, downturn in economy, and now you basically started your own business, which you had a passion for, but now you're sort of like up against the wall and saying, okay, this needs to work.
Yeah.
And
It's
so,
always been my side hustle. I've always had it as a business on the side.
okay.
It's just been part-time and I haven't given it the, full attention that it deserves. And I decided after many conversations that if I don't do it now, it's not going to happen. So I just said, there's no better bet than going all in on myself. I know that's a good bet because I can rely on, my knowledge, and what I know is the way to sell art in the art industry, which is a whole different animal than corporate. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
So who are the folks that are your customers that would find the most benefit from your business?
So art lovers, of course, like people that go to art shows or art galleries or, just have the love of art and the story behind the artist, because I think that's the majority of what 50% of the sale in my mind is they want to know who you are as an artist, what you stand for, what excites you and why. But I also work with interior designers and stagers, and I'm targeting and working with some hotel, restaurants, interior designers that, stage things for all kinds of, whether it's for the actual hotel or events. There's even movie set designers as well. So those are the kind of groups that I'm going after.
Sure.
But I have a new kind of a new avenue on my site that I haven't had in the past, which is I have my originals and my prints, but I also have an interior online design store for, curated interior design items like lighting, vases, bowls, whatever, no holders, stuff that I know that is wanted out there, and I go and find them. And
I'm sure there's a huge demand for it, especially if you build an entire culture around it. So it's like we have information, we have knowledge, we teach you, and then we also have connections and products. So are you offering just all of it? Like how do you actually help the customers?
Yeah, so it just depends on what they're coming to me with and for. I'm in the process of getting my interior decorator certification, not a designer, but a decorator. That's kind of the first step. So I will probably be getting that in the next couple of months, just so people can have the confidence that I have that. But I've always been into design and interiors and art in particular. I can help them with, in the past, I've worked with interior designers where they have a client that has a specific need. So they have a certain size that they need in a space, size canvas or shape of a canvas. They have certain colors that they can't find that they want to match or coordinate with the space. They have a subject that they want and they can't find it, or they can't find it the way they would like. So I can come in with a custom project, and I have a process in that where I work with them to do the initial mock-up and get sign off before I start. And then halfway through, I get sign off for, where I'm going on the actual canvas, just to make sure we're all in agreement and we don't need to make some changes. And then the final delivery, and sometimes I'm there to actually help with the installation.
So an interior decorator might have a specific need for a client, and then they come to you to solve that need, essentially.
That's right.
And
That's
so you
right.
probably have some kind of a consultation initially to figure out
Hmm.
what exactly you want. You try to
Yeah,
document it, get it into writing, right? Because ultimately people are
that's it.
finicky and they're all over the place. But if you
Yeah, and
can
I've
get it in
learned the
writing,
hard way that, just to speak to that, I've learned the hard way, like I have to get a third up front and then a third at that midpoint and then a third at delivery as far as money, because it helps to get rid of all the nonsense that happens when people change their minds. So it just ensures that we're both, playing fair,
yeah. Yeah.
and it,
Yeah,
it
especially
helps.
with art. I mean, it's going to be challenging because art
Yeah,
is something that drives your emotion. And if your
that's
emotion
right.
changes,
That's
then
right.
maybe the price changes, right? It's like, hey, you want a lot more now, it's going to cost more. And then they start backing out or whatever the case is. So do you have like templates and contracts built in now that you've refined your processes a little
Yeah,
bit?
I have. And I have a set of questions that I ask in the beginning, just on the initial consult, because I've had a lot of people who I've worked with who say, "Oh, I want you to do your thing." And,
Yeah.
they think they don't have an idea of what they want, but really they do. And I've
Do.
learned that over time so many times. And I try to pull out of them with those questions what it is they really want. So if they say, "I want a landscape," you do whatever you want. No, that's too wide of a
Right.
parameter. Like, I actually like it when you box me in, because now I
Okay.
have guardrails to say, okay, they want a landscape of North Carolina, or they want a landscape of Hawaii, or, of the desert, or whatever it is. They
Right.
have
Give
an
me a
idea
theme
in
at
their
least to
head,
start off
and
with.
they just don't know it, but they do have it in there.
Exactly. So you
I
got to
give them
fill it up.
extremes
Okay.
when I have that conversation. So I say, okay, if you're going to let me do what I want, what if I do Hawaii then? And they're
Yeah.
like, no,
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 not
no,
that.
not
Yeah.
Hawaii. I'm like,
It's kind
okay,
of like, where
so
do you want
yeah,
to eat? It doesn't
figure it
matter.
out.
Okay, well,
Yeah.
let's go to this Mexican restaurant. No, not that. Okay, so you do know what you want.
Yeah.
So how much do you rely on AI to help you develop some of these processes and solutions?
So much, as we all are learning, I think, or I hope, as business entrepreneurs, that, it just makes you smarter and work better and more efficient. I use it every day for everything from emails to descriptions to, you name it. I'm in AI asking it either a technical question or how to word something. And I never use it for verbatim. Like, I always change it to feel like my brand and feel like me. But it's just a place to start, and it helps me not have to start from scratch. So,
Sure.
and I think we've all kind of figured this out. If you're not using it, you're going to be left behind, because the people that
Certainly.
are more efficient. That's just the way it is. And I'm
100%.
also using it art-wise just to get some ideas. I mean, it's not where it should be yet, but
Sure. Which
I
one are you
know it
using?
will
What's your
be.
preference for design?
What's the one? It's called Dolly or something like
Dolly,
that.
yeah, for
And
images.
I've meshed two artists that I like, and told it, okay, use these two artists,
Nice.
and they're diametrically opposed styles. And I pick a subject and I say, give me a painting with these two styles for this subject. And it's not there yet, but it's decent,
I
but
think.
it's not there yet. But it helps me in figuring out, like, different things that I want to do. Like, right now, I'm trying to come up with a new style, which is putting more energy on my paintings. And I'm not even sure what I mean by that, because just putting marks on a canvas, like, you could splatter, or you could have straight lines, or, run a trowel over the canvas to give it that gritty, non-perfect effect. So
See.
I'm trying to use it to figure out how I can put more energy on a canvas and what that means to me,
Yeah.
and keep it authentic to me. So I feel like it's very useful. And on my show, where I talk to creatives about creativity on Artist Antics with April, I talk to them about AI as my last question always. And
Good.
they're
Good.
always, so many different answers. Some are using it and love it and aren't afraid of it, because they think it's just, another shift in progress, as us as humans in business. And others, they don't want it to take over, and then there'll be no artists that are doing things by hand. And I don't think that will
Well,
ever
I
be
mean,
the
technology is
case.
coming whether you like it or not, right?
Yeah,
You
no,
gotta
it
adapt.
is. And I'm embracing it because it's helping me.
Good. Good. Yeah, what I've
Yeah.
also seen is, so Gemini has Nano Banana, similar to
Hmm.
Dolly, basically.
Hmm.
And then you can give it, for example, in your landscape example, you take a picture, of the house from the outside, and then you say, come up with different variations of landscaping based on the input from the customer. So maybe they
Hmm.
like rocks, right? Or maybe they like grass and trees. And so you can come up with these different mock-ups very quickly and then share it with them. And now they have that visual feedback as well, so they don't have to rely
Yeah,
on
I
information.
don't use it for that because the mock-ups I do in Procreate, and I've used reference, but I also hand do some stuff for my mock-ups so that, I am merging things
Mhm.
to your point, like what you just said, but it's more personal to my style. So I take those images and I might pull them all in, but then I might rearrange them, or I might, start drawing something different. Like for your example, like rocks, I don't like the way the rocks are laid. So I'll take that as a reference and be like, okay, I can do it this way, and I'll lay them differently. And then it becomes something I'm happy with.
Okay, and
And
what's the technology that you're using to do
it's
this?
called Procreate. It's been around for a long time. It's
I
very
see.
inexpensive, and a lot of artists use it,
Procreate.
for
Okay.
creating,
Gotcha. Okay, that's interesting. Yeah, maybe we'll put a link in the description so folks can check it out as well. So, okay, so you're using Procreate and then you're sharing these mockups back with them to kind of help guide that conversation to the
That's
ultimate
right.
solution.
That's right.
I see. So what is
Yeah.
what is
And
sort
in
of your
the
time
meantime,
commitment?
sorry, go ahead.
Sorry, I think there's a little bit of delay probably on my side.
But yeah, no
Um,
worries.
I was gonna ask, what is the time commitment to when the customer says, hey, this is what I want, and then you have to do these mock-ups, essentially kind of guide that conversation to the ultimate sale? Like, how long does that process typically take?
To the ultimate sale, I mean, it usually takes the initial consultation in person, maybe with the designer, if they're an art lover, not with the designer. Then I come up with a mock-up, which maybe will take me 3 to 5 business days. Depends on what it is, how intricate it is. I usually try to come up with several options. I do what they've asked, then I do something a little left of that, and then I do something a little right of that, just to get some conversation going in the next meeting. Sometimes the meetings are in person, sometimes they're online, and I can just throw up the images that are the mock-ups, and they say yay or nay, or we talk about colors and, things like that. Then to get them to sign, and then I start the project after that, they agree. Sometimes I have to go back to do more mock-ups, so that might delay that signing of the contract. I feel like the mock-up is part of the process. It's,
Sure.
really, I'm already involved in putting time in it, but I don't like to charge for that right now because I feel like, they want to see what it is I'm going to do for them. And I
Okay.
understand that because, it is a definite expense. So I'm on board, and they want it to be what they want it to be. So I try to do that. I don't usually go to a third session for design. I mean, I think I've only had that happen 1 or 2 times.
Okay.
But I definitely will refuse to go to a fourth. I'll cut it off there.
Yeah.
And then if this isn't the right fit, then we can say, no
I
harm, no
see.
foul.
So those beginning sessions are free essentially?
Yeah.
Up to 3 max, right? But you're
That's
saying
right.
the third one rarely happens. It's usually the second one, you already know what to do. And then, so can you give us an example of, maybe a client that you had recently or what they accomplished and kind of walk us through their journey?
Sure. Like I had an interior designer in Tampa where I was helping her, and they wanted something that reminded them of this cabin that they had in their family. So they wanted me to take those pictures of that cabin and really kind of, make it something that could not only be in their home, but they could hand it down to their family as they get older, and it would mean something to them. So
Okay.
a lot of conversation around, what does that place mean to you? Because I need to understand the feeling behind it too.
Yeah.
believe it or not, because I want
Right.
to, while I'm painting, understand what happened there. If it's more of a memorial to a loved one and they didn't really spend time there, or is it was a very active place and they all spent time there,
Sure.
and what did they do there? And sometimes I try to incorporate, like if the family loved to play chess, then in the window of said cabin, I might put a little chessboard, right? So it's stuff like that you want to incorporate so that it's not just a painting of that cabin with the surroundings and, what season they liked best even.
Sure. It's important to know the context. I was smiling there earlier because I'm a enthusiast chess player,
Oh,
not
are
not
you?
very good, but I enjoy it. I'm like, yes, definitely want chess in there. Okay, so that, and then what happened?
Yeah. So then we went through those stages, like in the beginning, signing, and they signed off on the mock up. And then I halfway through make sure, it's not a finished painting, but I make sure that I'm on the right track. So I show them what I'm actually doing. And if I made any tweaks, just to make sure that that's okay. Like I might put a different tree in a different spot because it wasn't, feeling right to me or whatever.
Sure. You put your personal artistic touch on it.
That's right. And then if they're okay with it, or if they want to make some tweaks, then I have the ability to do that still. And then for the final, I make sure that I send them a final before I actually present it in person, just in case.
Yeah. Yeah, and you're doing this in Procreate, right?
Well, no, just the mock-ups in Procreate. Like,
The mock and then the
yeah,
real
I'm
thing is
actually
what?
hand painting the rest on canvas,
I
oil
see.
and or
Okay, got it.
acrylic on canvas. And then I send them a picture of the final, and then I have to varnish it after that, which takes a little bit of time. So, from start of the conversation to the end, I think the quickest it could be is maybe a month.
Okay.
That's if
Wow.
everything goes smoothly and there's no issues, because I need dry time in there.
Yeah.
Oils, I have to have at least 3 to 5 days of dry time in between the layers.
Wow. This is quite a
It's
process.
Yeah, no, it's definitely a commitment, but it's beautiful. I mean, you'll have something that lights your heart up and really makes you feel at home in your own space, right?
That's
So
really cool. And then, so, something like that, it doesn't have to be exact prices. Something like that kind of a project from beginning to end, how much are you charging for that?
for a custom piece, 3,000. Most artists are doing a cost per inch now. So depending on how
That's
big it
interesting.
is, and how reputable you are,
Yeah.
that price, there's a scale.
Okay, so, and then you go through your model of like collecting a
That's
third
right.
first, and then in the middle, and then at the end, once it's delivered.
Now, the
And so how
ones I
many of
do
those?
myself that are on my site that are just me wanting to paint what I want to paint, those are around, 1,000 to 1,500.
Right.
Because
Okay.
I don't have to go through all of that. I'm just doing what I want to do. So the
Exactly.
price point's lower, and I have many available usually on the site at all times. Yeah.
That's pretty cool. That's really cool. And so these, let's just take that $3,000 example, custom job, right? Relatively decent, multiple communication touch points. How many of those projects can you handle simultaneously?
Yeah, it's something I'm working with, because I try to have 5 paintings going, 3 to 5 all at the same time. And here's why: because if I start the first one and it needs a couple of days of dry time, then I
Right.
can go to the second one the next day and that needs a couple of days of dry time. Then I can go to the third, I'm
Exactly.
rolling it so that by the time I get to the third, fourth, fifth painting, I'm ready to go back and put the next layer on to the first one. So that's my ideal, is to have them like that. But sometimes it just depends on the project. Like some projects are rushed. So I,
Sure.
want to get 3 to 5 in, and then I have the one that's a rush project. I'll wait till it's actually, the minute it's ready for the next layer,
Yeah.
I'll skip the other ones and go back to it, if it's a
Wow.
rush.
Very interesting. And so you'll
Yeah,
find yourself juggling a bunch of different things now, timelines,
that's right.
the ingredients, or I call them ingredients, but like supplies, right? You're running low on the color red or whatever the
That's
case
right.
is. And then you have your meetings as well, where you have touch points with the client. And then you have potential marketing or sales type
That's right.
conversations. So what are you doing in order to organize your business?
Well, I have some good people behind me, but I also have a good process. I have a social media person part-time. She's worth her weight in gold, and she helps me. I just send her video and pictures. I don't do anything else. And then, we've gotten to the place where I just trust what she's doing.
Okay.
And she handles all that, which is, a lot, as we all know, it can take a lot of time just in editing.
Yes.
I have we moved my site from Wix to Shopify.
Okay.
And I have a Shopify partner that is, they handled the move. I was right there because as a senior marketer, I couldn't help myself.
Yeah.
I had to be kind of pretty involved in that. But also it's very visual. I'm a little different client for them than they're used to. A lot of clients will just be like, yeah, do whatever you want. I wasn't that because, I needed it to be on brand. So they were accommodating of that. And I went, and after they were done, we tried to kind of change a couple of things to make it more feel like me. And I'm trying to, which I haven't accomplished it yet, but my ideal and where I want to go with this, which I think you'll find interesting, is trying to mesh two things together, like high-end luxury art, right? With kind of the grit rock and roll feel. So when I think of a brand, I think of, hard rock is in all of that. It's the only one I can think of right now. But that's what we want to do in the future, because I have these blues musicians that I've painted because I love blues music.
Okay.
And I've been painting them, in this monochromatic style. So it's this dark blue, phthalo blue for those nerds out there, and then white and a little bit of black. And I learned this style from painting next to a tattoo artist who became a fine artist. And I try to paint with different artists that I like their style, and a couple times a year, just side by side, so we can share our process. Some people are open to that. Some people are like, no way, I'm not sharing my process. I don't feel that way, because I feel like even if I teach you everything I know, you're never going to paint it the same.
Exactly.
Yeah. So I don't have that ownership over it. I think, we both gain from what we're doing there. And he taught me a lot. And that's when I came up with that style. And they pretty much sell as soon as I paint them. So.
Right. Okay.
Yeah,
So are you recording yourself painting the whole thing?
I am now.
Okay.
It's been a struggle for me, mentally, because I just don't.
Are you doing any kind of like time lapse videos?
Yes, we are doing
really
that
crush.
too. Yeah, we've been doing
nice.
that for how-tos as well. So how to gesso, how to varnish, stuff like that.
Yeah.
But I've been kind of, I don't know what the word is, that creative time has been sacred to me. So sharing that, it was quite uncomfortable, but my social media person got me over myself, basically.
Good. That's a good person. Yeah.
He's like, no, they want to see it. They have to see it, that you're actually doing it. I said, okay. I get that part. So I just pretend it's not there.
No, I think that's very valuable that you overcome that fear, because, with AI right now, it's so easy to generate, similar products. But
That's
what
right.
people are going to find, or they are finding, and the data backs this up, is they want to go after the authenticity of that same product. So
That's
yes,
right.
on one occasion, it looks really pretty that Dolly or, Nano Banana, whatever, developed it. You can put it on a canvas and yes, it looks nice. But when they go through the conversations with you, they share the pictures and the context.
Right.
And then you put your own artistic piece. And then they also have a video that shows the entire process of painting it. Now there's a story there, right? And now it's a talking piece in their house that they can put up and chat with people, and around the holidays and all that kind of stuff, right?
Yeah, you hit the nail on the head.
Out.
They want to know who you are, because then when somebody says, oh, that's a beautiful piece of the cabin, who did that? And they say, oh, it's this great artist, and here's what I know about her, and here's what we did together. And, it is a talking piece and something they're very proud of. And, before I had a hard time like even sharing what my own story was as an artist, because I have a Cuban background, so there's a rich history there, and I have a lot of creatives in my family, from musicians, directors, all kinds of people, painters, other painters, singers, and I didn't realize how important that was to people until I put up that heritage information on my site.
Nice.
And it not only was important for my family, but people started to realize April's not just a senior marketer from corporate America. They didn't know my story, because you don't really get to tell that to
that's huge.
people that you work with. So yeah.
And building a community around you is really important also.
Yes.
Your social media is fantastic. That's going to drive a lot of views, hopefully subscribers, folks that are interested. So that's sort of like the marketing piece of it.
That's right.
If you can also build a following, like
That's right.
a school community, for example, now you're teaching people. And when you build that community, it's going to do wonders for you, because word of mouth is amazing.
Yeah.
They're constantly ready to buy your products as soon as you advertise them. You could have merchandise, you could do like affiliate marketing for like paintbrushes and paints.
Yeah, that's
and
stage
supplies.
2. But yes, we're talking about that already. But to your point, that's exactly it. I'm trying to build the community through my YouTube show, Antics with April, where I talk to creatives about creativity. And it's everybody from filmmakers to musicians, poets, rappers, art therapists, other fine artists, muralists, and digital artists, on and on and on. And I'm building that community that I couldn't find here, that I wanted. And I'm gonna create a group. I'd love your opinion on this, because I think I'm going to use WhatsApp for us to communicate together.
Sure, yeah.
It's starting to grow outside of the U.S.
Okay,
So,
nice.
like, I'm starting to talk to people in Australia and the Philippines.
Perfect.
And, my only requirement for being on the show is to give me 3 referrals to other artists.
Okay.
So I can, talk to them as well. And it's kind of gone past the parameters I had envisioned.
Nice.
And it just does my heart so good. Like, they're helping each other already naturally. So I've had 3 instances now where they've come to me and said, hey, I want to talk to this person.
Yes.
Can you connect me? Absolutely. And they're helping each other. And it was the whole reason I built it, and actually made me cry, because I was like,
That's
oh my God, it's
awesome.
working.
And it feels good. It feels really good,
feels
genuinely good, because you're helping people solve their problems. So many
Yes.
times when you lead with value and you're not so worried about who gets the money or who benefits
That's
from
right.
it, it just benefits everybody. It just like lifts everybody together. We have a small community on school, so I did the same thing. So there's a YouTube channel, which I'm doing like these podcasts, and then how-to tutorials on digital marketing. And then the people that want to run their own digital marketing agency, or any business for that matter, I consult for them for free, right? So they jump in the school community and they have an idea, and then we kind of like massage it and brainstorm it and kind of throw ideas back and forth, and then they go off and run with it. And then the best part is, because it's a community, everybody has a general interest in mind. They're all moving towards the same direction. And it's not a competition. It's just help. There's so many fish out there in the sea.
Yes.
Never once think that, oh, if somebody else catches something, I'm missing out. It's not a
Right.
zero-sum game. It's like unlimited. Even
That's
though
the
there's
way I feel about it. I feel there's room for everyone, and not everybody's going to like me, and not everybody's going to like my art, and that's okay. But, they'll go find someone else that they enjoy, and for different reasons. And there are collectors out there, and I've had some where I've done installations, so I've seen it for myself, where they've bought all kinds of different types of art, and then had mine as an inclusion of this giant gallery wall of, wonderful artists. And I'm just like, wow.
Have you heard of, I want to mention 2 things before I forget it. One is Gary Vee promotes this like crazy. It's called Whatnot. Have you heard about it?
I haven't.
So this is like live online sales. So imagine like if I was selling you this pen, I'd be on this webinar and I would just say all these amazing things, how this pen's going to make you feel good. And then there would be like a shopping link, and people would buy it live. And it would be like limited quantity, like 1 of 1, and you can buy it now. So imagine if you were on there and you just started live streaming. So instead of like only recording to put on YouTube later, you're recording, but you're live streaming. And so people are hearing your thoughts out loud, maybe curse words every now and then,
Yeah.
whatever the
Oh,
case is.
we're a fan of those.
Yeah, and you keep it exciting, you keep it fun, and then as you're drawing it, people are pre-buying your image. So whatever you're developing, you don't have to wait, basically.
Interesting.
And those, you'll put in orders like right there. It's like live. A lot of people are using this to sell like used items or just things in their house. And Gary Vee, I don't know if you know him, he's like super
I do.
popular.
I follow him. I just didn't know about those.
Yeah, he's very legit. And when he recommends something, it's usually like ahead of its time.
Yeah.
So that was the first thing I was going to mention to you, is do that. The second piece that I think would be really cool is, so you do these kinds of podcasts, but you do it within a niche that is also artistry. And what I mean by that is, imagine if we were having a collaboration right now. I am not an artist by any means, right? I could barely draw like stick figures. I could draw like an F-16 one time, with my airports background, but it's like, it only can face one way. So it's really bad. But anyway, if we were doing a collaboration and then you basically had like a canvas, and you were like, it'd be really good, Sonic, if you did this and this and this, and you kind of like are showing it. Now you're advertising to the podcast audience members who watch it, right? And then now those folks are funneling in because we're not just talking about it, we're showing them, right? This is like living proof. So I thought that would be kind of helpful too.
Yeah, no, that would be great. Yeah, you just sparked something because, in that process with one of my next clients, maybe I'll just, record that and just show, in short clips, like what the process is and how we're collaborating and, what questions I'm asking, etc. So that would be cool.
Yeah, one thing I'm going to do with this podcast itself on Riverside, that's what I use right now. And by the way, I'm looking for another product that can do something like a lot more amazing. So if anybody knows any like podcast recording things, that give us a comment. But Riverside is pretty good right now, where it records the main thing and then it does this magic video thing where it generates a bunch of short clips as well. And so there would be key moments in this conversation where maybe we had like aha moment or whatever, a hook of some kind, and then I am just putting that content out there with various thumbnails. And I'll do this for our video as well, so we'll probably get like 20 pieces of content out of this. And so where I'm going with that is, more content is better, right? Because when you put one piece of content, it might go to like 1 or 2% of your following. But if you put 10 pieces, chances are you might get a little bit more than 1 or 2% of your following.
Yeah, we use Opus Clip. I don't know if you're familiar with Opus Clip.
I have heard of Opus Clip. I just
drag in the video, the MP4, and it in 15, 20 minutes renders from whatever we've talked about. It makes 1 minute, and you can set, it could be 30 second, 1 minute, 1.5, like whatever time length. Okay. And it will go through and capture different sections based on AI's ability to determine which ones will be most viewed because of what we're talking about. It actually ranks it. So it'll give me 20 clips from the, half an hour conversation, and it'll rank it. And sometimes I don't choose the ones that they've chosen because it actually doesn't make sense. Like in some cases it chooses my intro and I'm like, no, that's not a good
it's AI. You can get it wrong for sure.
It's not 100%, but it's definitely better than me doing it. So, and it takes 10 minutes for it to do it, and it's got all the hashtags, all the text, from the transcript, and everything going on in that clip. So I don't have to do anything, and all I do is schedule it from that. So it's really been helpful. And I showed my social media person, and she was like, oh my God, we have to be using this. And I was like, yes, that's why I have it. So
good. How are you doing reach back to your customers? Are you recording email addresses and then hitting them up again?
Yeah. So in Shopify, we've connected to HubSpot only because that's what I preferred.
Wow. From your corporate world, HubSpot.
Yeah.
It's either HubSpot or Salesforce. A lot of people do that.
Exactly. And for small business, HubSpot's more reasonable.
I'll tell you what's more reasonable, but let me let you.
Yeah, I mean, I know there's others out there. Constant Contact, iContact. There's Zoho CRM. There's a lot, but I just prefer that one because I know it well and I know where to find what I want. When you're trying to slice and dice things. So when someone comes in to subscribe, it goes into Shopify into the contacts, but then it goes immediately into my HubSpot as a connection. Yeah.
And you have like workflows and
Hmm.
automation set up to
Yep.
put them on
We
a
have
drip campaign.
onboarding, yeah. New
Wow.
subscriber, and then also, I have a campaign going on right now for Black Friday for BOGO for buy one get one print free, and we're going to do the first quarterly newsletter in December. Since we just launched, I wanted to wait till the Black Friday campaign was over, and then we're going to launch the new newsletter and just kind of a recap of, how excited we are and what we're doing and what's coming and, all the things. But
Nice.
yeah,
That's awesome.
yeah,
That's really cool because you have that background already from digital marketing.
yeah. And it's interesting to me. I think once I get my own car engine moving,
Hmm.
I think there's room there for me to teach other artists
Yes.
because I do have that 30 years of senior marketing background from
Yeah.
pharmaceutical, aviation. I was in banking, I was in insurance, and then my last position was with the data company for 3 years. So
Okay.
I know enough about that to be dangerous. And
Beautiful.
I was actually their client when I worked for MetLife. I was filling my customer data holes with their data. And
Okay.
then they found out I got laid off, and they, after many conversations, convinced me to come work for a smaller company. They were only, 60 people at the time, and I was just not comfortable because of where everything was going. And I was, yeah, I don't know. And then, it was a good decision because I got to learn a lot. And they actually launched a fraud API. Why I was their marketer with them, and we got to launch that into the fraud space. So that was pretty interesting and cool. But
Very cool. Very
yeah.
cool. Yeah. I think that's phenomenal what you're doing, building that community. I think school is pretty good. The CRM I was going to mention was High Level, that also has a community in it as well. Very curious about
I'll
because
check it out. Yeah.
yeah, the folks that did High Level, they basically copied school, but they
Mm.
won't tell me, of course. But I asked them, I was like, this looks surprisingly similar. Literally the same thing.
Maybe they got the code.
It's out. Okay, bro. Like, I know you built it, but it's okay to like give somebody else credit too. Like, hey, it was really nice, and we decided to do the same thing. And what I like about High Level is has everything that somebody would want to run a business. You can set up a website, you can have AI, you can have voice, you can have chats and lead forms and everything, but like at a fraction of the price. It's like surprising. Their smaller packages, $97 a month, which I don't know what the licenses are for HubSpot, but like I know on the enterprise side, they can get quite up there.
Yeah. It depends how many contacts you have. Yeah. But
Oh, it's
yeah.
based on contacts? Oh,
Yeah.
okay, gotcha. Yeah, luckily High Level is like unlimited, so I just get
Hmm.
massive,
Yeah.
lists of people and just throw them in there. But I'm not so interested in using the features to like work for customers, although I've done it for a proof of concept. I'm more of helping people build their agencies and ultimately their businesses, so
Mm.
whatever it is. And so what I like to do is promote any business of any field to run their own community within that school community. So for example, have like a Zoom calendar, right? That's going to be available throughout the entire month. And then somebody can be a leader in that calendar and say, well, I'm going to have, Monday marketing techniques with
Mm.
April, for example, right? And so
Yeah.
maybe you're really good at that. And so folks will just jump in to your marketing and they'll hear you, you'll have a webinar and you'll kind of lead that whole effort. And the benefit of it is you're building a community, you're building a following and potential clients out
Mm.
of that because you're sharing, on a platform essentially. So that's something I'm very close to launching. And there's some folks like there's somebody who's real estate savvy, who's really good at that. There's finances, there's AI, would love to have you as well if you were like focused on art or digital marketing or,
Mhm.
whatever niche you want to get into, because that's what generates so much like word of mouth and ultimately just lifts everybody across the entire spectrum.
Interesting. Yeah, you'll have to share that with me. I'd like to take a look.
Absolutely. Well, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, April. Well, thank you very much for your time. Really appreciate it. Where can people find you? I see your list of entire, you have everything.
Yeah, I have all the handles.
We'll put all of that in there. But what
Yeah.
before you go?
Yeah, no, I appreciate that. I mean, the best way I think is just to go to the website, aprilpaigefineart.com. All the socials are on the bottom. So if you want to connect there, they're all up down in the footer. And you can take a look around at the gallery, the prints, and the new interior design store.
Certainly will. Well, thank you very
Yeah.
much, April. I
Thank
appreciate it.
you. Thanks.
Thank you.